Another point that I make is they have many bogus studies whose results are misinterpreted. A lot of the data is falsified to prove their point. But let's take the famous studies, which come under the most scrutiny, which are least likely to have falsified data. Look at, published on October 25th, 2013, Distinct Bipolar Pathways Revealed. It's by Eleanor McDermott, senior MedWire news reporter. A genetic analyst reported in Nature suggests two mechanisms that could lead to bipolar disorder. One mechanism is dysfunction of the well-established glycogen synthase kinase 3 pathway, which responds to standard mood stabilizing treatment. The other is synaptic dysfunction associated with EI, excitatory and inhibitory balance shifted toward excitation, which could result in hyperkinetic behaviors, says study author Huda Zoghbi and his co-workers from College of Medicine, Houston, Texas. Alright, so they go on, blah, blah, blah. They did a study with mice. The mice were hyperactive because they gave them stimulants. This is another thing, is that to prove their point, they gave a bunch of mice stimulants. Okay? Let me tell you what they say. They draw their conclusions from the research using a mouse model that overexpresses SHANK3, a gene that encodes a scaffolding protein involved in assembling complexes at the postsynaptic density. Mutations and deletions affecting SHANK3 have been implicated in human psychiatric disorders. But this is the first quote-unquote, we'll get to this, first direct evidence that its overexpression is deleterious, says the team. The mice were hyperactive, and this behavior was exacerbated rather than decreased by stimulant treatment, which is characteristic of mania. On further study, the mice scored more highly than wild-type mice in tests of behaviors observed in people during manic episodes. The team also used a genetics database to identify two patients with very small duplications in chromosome 22. Now, chromosomes are like key in the building blocks of DNA. You can look it up, mitosis and the splitting of genes and all that grade school biology BS. Now, I'm not saying it's not true. Yeah, it's true, but it really doesn't matter to my point. Going on, one patient had bipolar disorder and epilepsy, and the other was diagnosed with combined type attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, had seizures, and was resistant to stimulant treatment. The remarkable similarity of the neurobehavioral phenotypes between the mouse model and the patients with SHANK3 duplication supports the notion that SHANK3 overexpression causes a hyperkinetic neuropsychiatric disorder that approximates mania. I'll translate this for you in the end. They also found that the synaptic EI balance in the mice was shifted toward excitation, explained why they had spontaneous seizures, as did the two patients with overexpressed SHANK3. The shift in the mice was due to increased F-actin levels. Although the manic behavior of the mice was not decreased by treatment with mood stabilizers, that's key, that's key. Let me say that again for all you idiots who think their studies prove anything. Although the manic behavior of the mice was not decreased by treatment with mood stabilizers, they did respond to treatment with an anti-epileptic drug that is also proved to treat manic and mixed episodes, supporting the notion of two distinct pathways to mania. Make a long story short, they did a study on mice, and they also looked at people, and they compared the two, and it has to do with chromosomes 22, and they compared to the mice's behavior compared to these other disorders like hyperactivity disorder and hyperkinetic behavior, and as they did the comparison, they came to certain conclusions. Okay. And the conclusions they talk about, although the manic behavior of the mice was not decreased by treatment with mood stabilizers, it responded to other treatment, right? Goes back to my point. If I hit you in the head with a sledgehammer, you start acting like, oh man, all out of touch instead of hyperactive. Have I cured anything? If I give you a pill that causes you brain damage so you start acting like a zombie, have I cured anything? No. And neither have they. Now, have they proven that the genes are ultimately responsible for behavior? You are the greatest idiot in the world if you think that. When is this article dated? October 25th, 2013. 6 days ago. 6 days ago, they haven't proven anything. And right now, they have people in psych wards being forced medicated. Duh. This is Babylon's system. Thank you.